These stories ain't about quick scares or things jumping out at you from the screen. Nah, these are tales from places where something changed, and nobody can really say when. Farms, ranches, out-of-the-way spots, places where your daily routine is all you got, where every unusual noise grabs your attention, where the night ain't just dark, it's too damn quiet. What you're gonna hear here are stories told by regular folks, people who weren't looking for anything spooky, folks who just wanted to live, work, and sleep. But they ended up noticing something simple and unsettling. Some places don't forget who's been there. So take a deep breath now, turn up the volume, and pay attention to the little things. 'Cause in these stories, the terror don't come screaming. It settles in slow, and it stays. Listen up, 'cause even now, when I tell this story, it feels like I'm trying to convince someone of something I can't even explain myself. And the worst part is, there were no screams, no shadowy figures running through the halls. None of that movie stuff with doors slamming shut. It was just a routine that wasn't ours. It all started when me and Marina decided to get out of the city. It wasn't some dramatic escape. Nah, it was just plain old tired. Small apartment, construction next door, horns blaring, and a neighbor who thinks Sunday morning is the perfect time to test out his drill. I work from home. She makes her stuff at home. So the idea of a farm was an old one for us. A simple place to breathe, plant some things, hear the birds, and if possible, sleep without getting woken up by sirens. We found a small farm on a dirt road, near one of those little towns you drive right through and don't even notice. It had an old house, a mix of wood and brick, a wide porch, and a roof that gave good shade. In the back there was a low forest. On the side, a pasture that someone had already given up on clearing. And next to the gate, there was a little house. That's where the old owner's caretaker lived. His name was Seu Arlindo. He wasn't friendly in the way of making small talk and offering coffee. He was just polite, that's all. One of those people who always seem busy even when they're just standing there. A very old man, thin with skin weathered by the sun and a way of walking that seemed to make no noise. The day we went to close the deal, the old owner just said one thing, kinda offhand, like he was talking about the weather. He stays. If you agree, he stays. And we agreed. Not out of pity, but out of necessity, you know? I couldn't tell a good fence from one that was just pretending to be there. Neither could Marina. In the first few months, our lives and Seu Arlindo's ran side by side, just like train tracks. We'd wake up, and he'd already be on his feet. We'd go to sleep, and he'd already put his stuff away. He didn't talk much. If I asked, "The pump's making a weird noise," he'd just say, "Always did, and that was that." If I asked, "Does this gate latch like this?" he'd say, "It latches, and that was that." But he had this one habit. Every late afternoon, when the light started to fade, and the farm got all golden and a little sad, he'd grab an old lantern. Not a cell phone flashlight, you know. It was one of those old beat-up metal hand lanterns that throws a yellow circle of light, and he'd do his rounds. He'd pass by the chicken coop, walk around the storage shed, go all the way to the back of the pasture, lean against the fence like he was counting the wires with his eyes, come back along the path near the woods, and then finally stop for a few seconds at the front gate, looking down the dirt road, like he was waiting for someone who never showed up. That yellow light from the lantern was the most peaceful thing in the world. It became a benchmark, you know? We didn't even need to look at the clock. When his light disappeared, the day was over. And I'm gonna tell you something a little silly. It gave you a sense of order, like there was a responsible adult making sure the world was in its place. Then one morning, we woke up and didn't see him. There wasn't no premonition or nothing. It was just practical weirdness. The chicken was loose, the gate was just kinda propped shut with the padlock, and his little house was quiet. I clapped my hands on the doorframe. I called out. Nothing. I went inside. He was laying there, like he was sleeping. But a body, it's got a real definite way about it when it ain't there no more. The closest town was small. The doctor came, did what he had to do, and spoke the way doctors speak when there's no way to sugarcoat it. Old age. We took care of the burial with help from the neighbors. It was simple, no drama, no family stories. He didn't have nobody around, nobody to show up and cry or complain about something, and his little house stayed shut up. In the first few days, the farm felt bigger. I can't explain it any better. It was like the space had stretched out. Without that regular routine of footsteps and light, the night started to feel heavy. Not scary, just heavy. Like the darkness had more weight to it. We started doing the things he used to do, in our own clumsy way. And that's when it started. The first time, I didn't even mention it to Marina. I was in the kitchen at night, washing a glass. The sink window, at night, turns into a black mirror. You don't see the yard, you just see yourself, a kind of crooked reflection. But that day, I saw a detail that didn't match me. In the dark glass, behind my shoulder, a low yellow light passed by. A light that moved slowly, swaying, like someone was walking with it in their hand. I turned around right away, kinda automatic, already thinking, someone's out there. I grabbed my phone's flashlight and shined it at the yard. Nothing. Just cricket silence, the smell of cold earth, and the pasture, just like it always was. I went back to the glass trying to laugh at my own paranoia, but I wasn't scared. I was intrigued. A few days later, it was Marina's turn. She was in the bathroom, brushing her teeth, and we got this big mirror in there, the kind that shows the whole hallway depending on the angle. She came out of the bathroom and said, in the most chill way possible, "I saw something in the mirror." I said something back, already expecting it to be a cockroach. She said, "A light, like a yellow flashlight." And someone behind me, standing in the doorway. I felt that chill that ain't about the temperature. It's a chill of something else. 'Cause I hadn't told her my part yet. When she described the someone, she didn't describe a face. She described the body, the posture, the height, the way it stood still, and it seemed like him. We did what couples do when they don't want to put a name to a problem. We tried to act normal. Must be a reflection. Must be missing someone. Must be tired. But it started happening a lot. Always the same way. Always indirect. On the black TV screen when we turned it off. In the microwave glass. In the reflection of the patio door at night. In a stainless steel pan hanging up. That turned into a curved mirror. Always the same thing. A yellow light and a skinny silhouette walking slow like someone doing a chore. And always one detail. When we looked right at it, there was nothing. It was never, I looked and I saw. It was, I saw it in the reflection, and when I looked, it was gone. Our brains tried to get all scientific, real, methodical. We started running tests without actually saying they were tests, 'cause that's kinda embarrassing, you know? If I saw something in the reflection, I'd go outside with a strong flashlight. Marina would stay by the window watching. Nothing. If Marina saw something, I'd head straight to the backyard. Nothing. The weirdest part, the dogs didn't care. We had 2 mutts that would bark at a fallen leaf. And at these times, they'd just be laying there like it was just the wind. Then, one day, something happened that changed the feeling from just weird to, now there are rules. It was late afternoon, the sky kinda dull, that time when the house gets all shadowy. I was in the makeshift office at the table near the window that looks out onto the road. I looked up from the computer and saw the reflection of the entrance gate in the glass. And, in the reflection, someone was standing there. Not walking, just standing still. And the yellow light was on the ground, like the flashlight had been propped up. The light lit up the ground and part of the fence in that shaky way. I kept looking, barely breathing, 'cause your brain tries to make a deal with you. You're seeing it, but you ain't really seeing it. I got up slow, went to the window, and looked straight at the gate. Nobody was there. I went back to the glass. The reflection was gone too. Right there I realized something. That wasn't just a habit happening over and over. That could change. And when it changes, you understand it ain't just some movie playing in the background of your life. It's something that notices you're noticing. That's when we started to avoid certain things without even talking about it, like looking in mirrors at night, or staring at the porch when the glass gets dark and reflective. But then there was the night of the car. We had decided to cover the big mirror in the bedroom with a sheet and put it in the storage room, hoping it would make things better. I know, it sounds childish, but when you're living through something you can't name, you start making up survival rituals. That night, I got home late, trying to maneuver the car into the garage. The garage light was dim. I looked in the rearview mirror, out of habit, to see if there was nothing in the back seat. And there was. In the rearview mirror, there was someone sitting in the back seat. It wasn't clear, like a picture. It was a reflection too real to be a shadow, but too wrong to be a person. The silhouette was sitting sideways with its hands in its lap, and the yellow light wasn't on. It was like the flashlight was off, but, still there. I froze with my foot on the brake. You know when the silence of the night gets real loud? I heard the car engine and nothing else. Not even a cricket. Not even the wind. I turned my head to really look at the back seat. Empty. Looked back at the rearview mirror. Nothing. And I just sat there, for a ridiculous amount of time, trying to figure out if I'd imagined it, if I was tired, if my brain just made up an image out of fear. But the fear, in this case, wasn't about getting attacked. It was about confirming that something had gotten into my space. From then on, we stopped treating it like a curiosity. Without making a big deal out of it, we made a mental list of boundaries, things we wouldn't do anymore, things we'd do differently. And even with all that, the worst kind of confirmation happened. One night, Marina went to grab a tool from the shed. It was early, but it was already dark. She turned on the dim light in the place and pulled the drill from a shelf. The bedroom mirror was there, leaning against the wall, covered with a sheet. She told me later, and I remember her voice. She wasn't crying. She wasn't shaking. She was talking like someone describing a clogged sink. The sheet had slipped a little. She said she saw a strip of the mirror uncovered, just a crack. And in that crack, there was his reflection. Only this time he wasn't in profile, just passing by. He was facing forward, standing still. Like he was watching from inside the glass. And the yellow light was on the floor, lit, shining from bottom to top. Marina said she didn't see his face clearly, but she saw a gesture, a hand slowly rising, like it was about to touch the glass. She dropped the tool and left the shed. She didn't run. She just walked out fast, without looking back, and closed the door. After she finished telling me, I went over there, and I didn't feel nothing supernatural. I didn't see nothing moving. Didn't hear no voice, didn't hear no footsteps. But there was one thing, a smell of kerosene, damp earth, and old tobacco, like someone had just walked in and stood there for a few minutes. I kept looking at the covered mirror, and I didn't have the guts to pull off the sheet. And then comes the part that gets me, 'cause it's like the farm's got a sense of humor. The next day, I woke up early and went to the front gate. I had this urge to do something practical, like a concrete action could fix something that don't follow no logic. I walked through the pasture, past the chicken coop, went to the back fence near the woods, and came back. I did the same route Mr. Arlindo used to do. Without a flashlight, of course, and nothing happened. But at the end of the day, when the light went down, I saw it in the living room window, that usual dark reflection. The yellow light moving slow across the pasture. The patrol was there, not with me, with him, and I just stood there, looking at it in the reflection without turning my head, 'cause I already knew what would happen. If I looked directly, there wouldn't be nothing, and even so, I would have still seen it. That night, we sat in the living room and talked low, like speaking loud, could scare something that wasn't afraid. And I asked Marina, kinda without meaning to, "You think he's still watching?" She took a while to answer. Then she said, "I don't think he ever stopped." And that's what makes the story heavy. 'Cause it don't seem like a threat. It don't seem like an attack. It seems like something that just keeps going. Like a piece of his routine got stuck here, playing on a loop. And sometimes it just brushes against our lives just to remind us it's still working. His little house is still closed up. His stuff is still in there. We air it out once in a while, out of respect, out of habit, out of guilt, I don't know. And that yellow flashlight, the real flashlight, the one he used, we never found it. We looked everywhere. The storage shed, the little house, the chicken coop, the woods, the pasture, the car, the main house, the toolbox, everything. It ain't nowhere. But the light, it still shows up. And if you think the end of the story is we moved out, nah, it ain't. We stayed put. Not because of some movie courage, just plain old tiredness. Because life just fills up the spaces and you just accept what you don't understand, as long as it don't push you around. But there's a rule now, and I'm gonna ask you something. What would you do? The rule's simple. At night, we try not to stare at surfaces that turn into mirrors. Dark glass, a turned-off screen, polished metal, a rear-view mirror. Not out of fear, more out of a kind of respect or a kind of caution we learned the weirdest way possible. 'Cause after a while, it ain't the seeing that's scary. It's the feeling that if you look too long, maybe one of these times, he'll look back. If you think what happened at my place was weird, just breathe. 'Cause this one here's got a detail that gives me more chills than any shadow. It ain't because someone shows up. It's 'cause, for a few minutes, you stop being yourself. And I ain't talking about fear. I'm talking about a glitch. Like someone pulled a circuit breaker inside your head. I'm gonna tell you this story the way it was told to me, and why I started taking it seriously without needing any fancy proof. The story came from a guy I know, Iago, who was born and raised out in the country. A farm family, coffee, those kind of properties that get passed down through generations, where everything's marked by habit, sun time, rain time, time to come in. His land borders another old farm belonging to a fella who, for a long time, was just the neighbor. Not like, go to each other's birthday parties, friends, but with that quiet respect from folks who live the same kind of life. And between the two properties, there's a creek. In the dry season, it's almost just a trickle. In the rainy season, it runs strong and makes a noise you can hear from far away. Cutting across that creek, there's a wooden bridge. Nothing official, nothing touristy. A bridge built just to work. Thick planks, concrete base, wide enough for a pickup truck, a small tractor, and folks on foot. For them, it was always just part of the way. A shortcut, the scenery, and that's where the danger lies. When something changes, but you're too used to it to notice quick enough. Iago's old man passed away a while back. It was a painful process, but no mystery there. Sickness, hospital, that kind of goodbye that ain't got no poetry, just real life. A little while after that, the owner of the next-door farm, he died too. In his sleep at night, the way folks in the country describe it with few words and a whole lot of resignation. 2 deaths, close together. 2 old-timers leaving the scene in a short amount of time. And, a month or 2 after that, the bridge started to get different. The first person who noticed it was a farmhand, a young fella who crossed the bridge every day on his motorcycle. He mentioned it to Iago the next day, kinda awkward, like someone talking about bad weather. Last night, the bridge got real weird. A cold that wasn't normal. Iago listened, made that yeah, okay face, and let it go. In the countryside, it's like that a lot. Everyone feels things, but nobody wants to be the first to bring it up. But then, it was his turn. One cold winter night, he needed to get a part from a shed and decided to take a shortcut over the bridge. Clear sky, stars up above, no wind, no fog. He got to the start of the bridge and stepped on the first plank, and the temperature dropped. It wasn't like, oh, it got a little colder. It was a sudden, instant drop. Like the bridge had its own little climate, like you walked through an invisible door and entered a freezer. He stopped in the middle, looked around, tried to find an explanation. Nothing. He kept walking, got to the other side, and the cold was gone. Just like that. He went back and did the test anyone would do when they think they're going crazy. He walked onto the bridge again, walked off, walked on, walked off. The cold was stuck right there. Exactly the length of the bridge. Not before, not after. And that, all by itself, would be pretty weird. But, you know, you still try to think. Wet wood, a draft, it's all in my head. But then things started to get out of hand. Sometime later, Iago's ma had to drive her pickup truck over the bridge at night. Coming back from a visit, she got home different. Too quiet. That kind of quiet that ain't tiredness, it's, I'm holding something in. The next day, she told him. She said that when she drove onto the bridge, besides the cold, there was a weight. Like the air got thick, like breathing got harder. And with that, a sluggishness. A tiredness that didn't feel like regular tiredness. Her arms felt heavy on the wheel, her eyelids wanted to drop. Her whole body had this crazy urge to just stop and sleep right there. And as soon as the wheels left the wood, the feeling vanished, like someone just flicked a switch. From that point on, the stories started coming in. Everyone who passed there at night said the same thing: cold and a heavy feeling. A laziness that just knocks you out. And then comes the part where the story changes completely. One harvest night, Iago came back late from the city. He was beat, just wanted his bed. The shortest way was over the bridge. He knew about the weird feelings, but he figured, I'm in my car, it'll be quick. I'll just drive over and that's it. The night was dark, no moon, high beams on, empty road. He got on the bridge. The cold hit, even with the windows rolled up. Then came the heavy feeling, like someone put a hand on the back of his neck and pushed him down. And then what he called a blackout happened. All of a sudden, he wasn't sure where he was going. You know when you've driven a road your whole life, and your body just knows it? Well, yeah. At that moment, the road felt strange. The road that led home looked like a different road, like he'd never seen that place before. He took his foot off the gas. The car stopped right in the middle of the bridge. And he just sat there, stopped, with the engine running, headlights shining on the dust, trying to make a basic decision. Go on or turn back. The problem was, for a few moments, he couldn't even make a decision. It wasn't panic. It was just empty. Like someone had wiped the slate clean. He said he couldn't tell if it was seconds or minutes, 'cause even his sense of time got all mushy. What snapped him out of it was a sound from far away. A dog barking. Just a regular bark, like normal life was happening somewhere. And that sound, it was like it pulled him right back. Everything got clear all at once. He knew where he was going, what he was doing there. And that's when the fear kicked in. 'Cause it's one thing to feel cold. It's a whole other thing to feel like your brain could just switch off. He floored it, sped across the bridge, and when he got to the other side, everything went back to normal. His temperature, his body, his mind. But he got home and stayed in his car for a while, just sitting there, breathing, thinking, if I had blacked out more, what would have happened? And then, naturally, it became a rule. Nobody crosses that bridge after a certain hour. They warned employees, they warned relatives, they warned visitors. Some of them laughed, called it superstition. But those who went through it and felt it, they stopped laughing. There was one case that sealed the deal for good. A new employee, who wasn't from around there, crossed the bridge real late, walking home. The next day, he didn't show up. They found the guy sleeping soundly in the bamboo grove near the creek, far enough away that it wasn't just tiredness from the walk, close enough to give the feeling that he left the bridge and was just dumped there. When he woke up, he was disoriented. He didn't remember how he got there. He remembered the cold. He remembered being sleepy. And then, a blank. A short time later, he quit and left. The strangest thing is, during the day, the bridge is just a bridge. Sun beating on the wood, water flowing, birds chirping. But at night, it turns into something else. And Iago talks about it in the coldest way possible. Like he's talking about an area with snakes. We don't cross it. Simple as that. Now think about it. If it was you, would you still cross it? Just to prove you don't believe? Or would you just accept the rule, and that's it? Because some people say they don't believe, but when your body feels heavy and your head starts to get all messed up, believing becomes a luxury. And I'm gonna tell you, what's scarier ain't the bridge itself. It's imagining that thing don't want to kill you. It just wants to stop you. Like after a certain hour, that piece of wood ain't yours no more. Like it belongs to something else. After hearing all that, there's a tough question to answer. If it was you, would you leave? Or would you learn to live with it? 'Cause the weirdest thing about these stories ain't the fear. It's the fact that, over time, people get used to it. They make rules. They change their routines. And they keep on living, even though they know something ain't right there. Maybe that's how these places keep on existing. Not 'cause they scare you, but 'cause they're accepted. Now I want to know from you, which of these stories bothered you the most? Would you have done something different in any of them? Leave your comment down below. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories. And if these kinds of stories keep you hooked from start to finish, hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you content like this. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, pay attention to the places you walk through at night.